welcome. Today we're going to talk about automail. Right, so as some of you may know, I cosplay Edward Elric from the TV show, manga, Fullmetal Alchemist and Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. And one of the defining characteristics about Edward Elric is that he has a fully robotic arm called automail. So I have cosplayed Ed before, which means I had automail for him. But I decided that I wanted to redo his automail and use better quality materials and work a little harder on it to just make it look as awesome as possible. And I did that. And before I show you my new automail, I'm gonna show you my old automail. So this is the old automail. It's not bad. It is made 100% out of craft foam, which is really cheap. It's like 80 cents for a sheet of it. The bolts on it are actually made out of Model Magic. Two of the little knuckle spikes that I made actually fell off, which was disappointing. So there's really nothing wrong with the automail. It is kind of hard to move my arm in it because right here it gets a little close when you bend. So when you're doing the classic alchemy pose, it gets a little dicey. And also I feel like it makes my hand look really kind of cartoony and chubby and just really sort of strange. Basically what I did to make this is I velcroed all the pieces to the glove, which is kind of, it's an okay method. As you can see, a lot of the velcro actually would just fall off of the pieces. And also with the shoulder piece, it's attached to the arm this way, but I can't really lift my arm up without it being really strange. So I attached the shoulder piece to myself just using Velcro and elastic, which worked okay. You can see this one's hanging there. It's supposed to attach back here, but it busted. And that happened actually during Salt Lake Comic Con, which was, well, it's really not that bad, except for this bothers me. These two things are supposed to go under the big part. So I fixed that on my new automail. This was actually supposed to come off, but I accidentally glued it to here, which didn't turn out so bad, but everything is on one glove, which after a long day at a convention, wearing it makes it really, really difficult to take it off, which was a big drawback for me. But overall, it really was not bad. I got an award in a cosplay contest with it. I got a lot of positive feedback on the automail, but I just really wanted to make it better. Another note is that I used E6000 to glue it all together, and that worked pretty well. Turns out hot glue works a lot better with craft foam because, fun fact about craft foam, it will eat whatever you put on it. So the glue, I glue some E6000 down and see, watch. I can just peel that off. E6000 is super strong, and I can just peel that Velcro off. Horrible. Use hot glue, not E6000. E6000 works for a lot of other projects, but with craft foam, hot glue is the way to go. I also did not seal my craft foam before I painted it, and craft foam eats paint. You can kind of see some of the paint wore off, and now I'll show you my new automail that is 100 times better, and I love it, and I'm so excited to wear it again. And here it is. One of the major differences I did with this automail is instead of attaching everything to a sleeve glove, I just made a sleeve and I just slip everything on over the sleeve, which makes it a ton easier. So here's the sleeve. Goes all the way up to my shoulder. It's just black spandex. I hate making gloves, so I didn't give it any fingers. And it doesn't really affect the way the automail looks. Ta-da! Isn't that 100 times better? The color, much nicer because I actually sealed in the foam. I can move really easily in it. I didn't use any Model Magic because it looked kind of cheesy. Instead, these, you can hear that, googly eyes. When you paint over them, they look like rivets. You can see my fingers through here, but that doesn't really bother me that much because from the top it looks amazing. So my Automail is mainly made out of craft foam. Everything you see here, craft foam, googly eyes, hot glue. But the fingers and the main part of the hand, not this bit, it's actually made out of Worbla. Craft foam is really awesome for armor because you can heat it up with something like a heat gun or a hairdryer and it'll hold a simple curve, so something like that. But for stuff like fingers, you're going to want to use something like Worbla. This lovely piece of plastic is Worbla. Worbla is a thermoplastic and you can heat it up and pretty much mold it into whatever shape you want. So what I did was I cut patterns for my fingers and molded them around my fingers and my hand, and now I have perfectly fitting fingers for my Automail. Now Worbla is pretty expensive. I got the medium sheet of Worbla, which is about the size of a poster, and it was $34. A lot more expensive than craft foam, which I got a 5-foot roll of it for $5 at Michael's with a coupon. But I'm telling you, Worbla is worth every penny you spend on it because it's so easy to work with and it just turns out so lovely with everything. I connected the fingers to the hand piece using just some thin black elastic, and it works pretty well. I can watch what happens when I take off my hand. This is what my Automail hand looks like without my hand in it. So as you can see, it's just some black elastic, so it'll stretch so I can move my fingers. And look on the inside, just fits right over my hand. And then I put the fingers on eventually. But the rest of it is actually just a tube. It's just a tube, and I reinforced the tube with some strips of Worbla so it would hold its shape. But yeah, you just Velcro it together. Well, actually, it's better if you don't Velcro it. Slip it on, Velcro it. And this is the upper shoulder piece. This is just a circle of craft foam, and look, I got the things under, which I said was a pet peeve of mine before, but I fixed it. And there's also some elastic right here, so this curves around and looks awesome. And I can actually move my arm, but there's also Velcro on this, so reinforced with Worbla. It's great. And then for this, just slip it off over my head, really easy. So it has strips of Worbla, and the way I actually attached the elastic is I just smushed the elastic between two pieces of Worbla and then hot glued it. Because like I mentioned before, hot glue and craft foam are BFFs. So if you will recall, I mentioned that if you don't prime craft foam, it will eat whatever paint you put on it. So to fix this, I used Plastidip, which is just a spray-on product. You can get it at Home Depot and Lowe's for like $5. It just creates like a plasticized coating over anything you spray it on. And then to paint the Automail, to give it this really shiny color, I used the Krylon aluminum color, metallic. It's in aluminum. There's definitely a big difference between this color and this color. With this one, if you look in the cracks, you can see a lot of dark spots and a lot of just where it looks kind of worn and actually used. I did that to give it some depth, and I just did that using a black acrylic paint. I did not do that with my original Automail, so it looks a lot more two-dimensional as opposed to my new Automail, which looks much more three-dimensional. I added a lot more pieces, I added a lot more rivets. Make patterns. I made my patterns out of manila folders. Just use something that already has a fold in it so you can make a symmetrical pattern. See, here is the piece for the shoulder up here. Folded. Easy. Super easy. Don't be scared to try it. Automail is definitely one of the more challenging costume pieces that I've put together, but it's so worth it. It's so fun to just have that really awesome, so cool metal arm that you can like go punch bad guys with and stuff. Because you see a lot of Edward Elric cosplayers, but they just do the coat and the gloves, and then you're like, oh, okay, no automail. But when you have automail, it just like takes it up like 6 levels because it just looks so cool. Also, if you are going to use Worbla, I bought the medium sheet, but you could definitely get away with the sample size for automail if you're just going to use it on your hands and fingers. I just bought the medium sheet for future projects. Just have fun with it. I was not totally 100% true to Edward's automail because it's kind of hard to have an entire metal arm with still being able to like move yourself. So just make it look cool. Just do what makes you happy. And that's really all I have to say about automail. I don't think I'm forgetting anything, but if I am, feel free to probably just tweet me because YouTube comments are... Who even knows what YouTube comments are anymore? I'm also going to link some really good resources for automail building in the description. A lot of the techniques I used in my automail I actually got from Mango Cyrene, which is another cosplayer here on YouTube. She's fabulous, definitely check her out. Yeah, that's my automail, and I'm very happy to share it with you. And like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I will see you next time.